A couple weeks ago, myself and Coach Quinn here at Atlas Performance went over a movement and mobility seminar, and one of the main things we focused on was the squat. I had some people ask me to do a video about it. There were some people that weren't able to come, so I wanted to put this together for you guys who were not able to attend that weekend and go over what we discussed in regards to the squat. The squat offers many people some difficulty in terms of especially getting depth, getting that full hip crease below the knee, and there's a couple reasons that lead to it, but I want to focus on two main points. The first being initiation of the movement. In order to do the squat properly, we need to have a nice organized spine, and one of the common cues used with the squat has led to a lot of people misinitiating that squatting motion. And the second thing is misinterpreting what is a mobility limitation versus a stability limitation. So for the first thing, the cue that often gets used is drive your butt back, which is true, but we don't want to have a change in position in our spine. So, and I'm just going to kind of tighten this up so you can see a little better. When I initiate the squat and I'm thinking butt back, I do not want to pop my hips out like this, because then as I squat, what happens is as I get down, boom, my butt starts to round under. I go back to a neutral spine position, which is where we want to be, but because I started here, imagining this is my spine, because I kind of started in this torque weird position and it pulls back under, creates a lot of shearing force, and it can cause soreness in the low back, which neither of those things are great. What we need to do to start, the squat position starts with our feet shoulder width apart, toes can be slightly out. Then from there, we squeeze our glutes and then squeeze your abs. Now you're in a nice organized position with your spine. You can release your butt from there, but keep your core tight. You don't want to lose that position. From here, I want to do a slight hinge. Okay, just practice getting this motion down. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing my butt and my hips back. I'm doing that cue, but I'm not creating that tilt. You guys can see, notice my hands, they get a little bit further apart. I also don't want to come down and bring my hands closer together. If you've followed Kelly Starrett for any period of time, you've probably become familiar with these cues. Pretty much everything I've learned in the movement and mobility realm is from him, so got to give credit where credit's due on this one. And as we continue with the squat, so here we start moving down, down, down. At a certain point, you will either get to where you can't keep your abs engaged and you need to release, and you then go into this position, or you start to pull under. And again, neither of those things are what we want. So finding your limitation, your point of limitation, is going to be a big piece of this. So getting practiced in initiating that movement. Again, it is butt back, but everything moves together. Hips, knees, shoulders, all this stuff moves together. Also notice that I'm not driving my knees out in front. My knees are staying where they are. I am creating a bend in them, but they're not driving forward. Okay. So as we start moving down, once we have that hinge motion, initiating the movements properly, and then we go straight down from there. Once you find your limitation, it may be your hips, your ankles, you can do some mobility on those areas to help improve your depth. Also though, and this is where I think mobility gets confused a little bit as being the be-all and end-all, the key to complete access to full range of motion. Yes, there are going to be some hip or ankle limitations for many people, especially if you sit or wear heels, elevated shoes, something like that. Stability is also a major piece of it. As we get lower and lower, it requires more and more hamstring and glute engagement to stabilize if we're staying back in our heels like we should be. So part of it for you may, in fact, your inability to get to a full depth squat might actually be because as I come down, now my knees cave in, I come into my toes, my heels come up, and we don't want that. If you stay in your heels and go all the way down, what's stabilizing and supporting me is my hamstrings, my glutes, my posterior chain. So for some of you, it may be a strength issue, a stability issue, a motor control issue. Knowing and teaching your body what muscles to fire and engage to stabilize yourself. So again, working on that initial hip back motion while keeping our spine organized, dropping straight down until you find that point where maybe, okay, I'm a little bit tight. As you get better and better with that, you can start dropping lower and lower, okay? And then eventually we should get to a point where we can be in a good position, my knees are out, my toes are grounded, right? Everything's nice and stable, and I'm able to get that hip crease below the knee. So the squat, it takes time is the other thing. You're not going to all of a sudden do some quick mobility trick and be perfectly squatting. It takes time, it takes practice, and you have to stick with it. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. Yes, doing the couch stretch is great, helps loosen up your hips. Doing some ankle mobility is awesome. It may help you get some depth, a little bit more depth immediately. But long term, what we're really looking to do is create a better movement pattern. And that takes motor control, stability, and strength. And ultimately what leads to those things is practice. So keep working on your squats. If you have questions for me, feel free to comment. And hope you found this helpful. Have a good day.